Everyone, welcome back to Rob's Funk and Junk podcast video thing, podcast online. I forget even what this is anymore. How you doing? Thank you so much for everyone for the comments on last week's podcast episode video thing. Let me just turn my mic up. I do this in every episode. Let me turn my mic up. There you go. 1, 2. There you go. So my mic is now up. Yeah, I sort of noticed a little bit of a spike in views and questions and comments and all that. So I think it really makes a difference using a thumbnail on the video. I don't know how many are lots of people listening to this podcast. They're listening to it, or are they watching it on YouTube? I don't know. It seems to be that a lot of people are watching it on YouTube, which is what I tend to do, really. I tend to watch stuff more on YouTube than I do. I tend to watch podcasts on YouTube, or if I'm driving in the car, I have them on, just sort of playing, not looking at them. I sort of usually have my sat nav on, my Waze on, because I don't know where the hell I'm going unless I have that on these days. Am I guitar still on? Yeah, I haven't played. So I've been away. I was away. The last week I was away in Thailand, as I mentioned. It was fantastic. We had Paul Turner and I did our Boom and Twang retreat over in Thailand, which was awesome. The studio and the facilities were amazing, and the students that came up to visit us, we had such a great time. Yeah, and we're really, we're looking at booking it again, doing it again this year, later in the year, perhaps. Honestly, I'm going to show you a video. In a second, I'll cut to a video. I did a little studio tour, but it was just great to be one. I don't know if you can hear outside. It is absolutely chucking it down with rain here, really bad rain. So it made a nice, refreshing change to be in some warm weather. I did get my feet got bitten really, really badly bitten by mosquitoes. I will show you a picture of that now. So look away if you're eating your breakfast or your lunch, or you're tucking into something, or you've got someone looking over your shoulder. For anyone listening to this on the podcast, you won't see it, thankfully, but I'll show you it now. Why not? I'll show you it. You can have a look. I'm sure you're all built of strong stuff. But my foot ended up looking like the something out of The English Patient or whatever, a very bad film. It looked like something from a horror film. But it was good. And I actually, one thing, for anyone who's been bitten by mosquitoes and they react badly to it, I use toothpaste. I put toothpaste on it. So what had happened was I'd been bitten, went to bed. It was on the second night we were there. I went to bed, woke up in the middle of the night, having itched myself beyond recognition without knowing, because I was asleep. And obviously, as you know, the worst thing you can do when you've been bitten by a mosquito is itch yourself. So yeah, So I just went to bed one night, but before I went, I just put toothpaste all over my leg and my foot, and it really took the sting out of things. And I don't know whether there's something in it, but it draws out the poison or whatever it is they do to you. I think it's the saliva. Anyway, yeah, enjoy your breakfast. Talking about this horrible stuff. But yeah, it was great times. The food was amazing. The students were lovely. We had a really, really good time hanging out. Sort of spending all the day sort of teaching, doing the group workshops in the morning, then the one-to-ones. And I think everybody enjoyed themselves. Hi guys, if you're out there watching this. We laughed, we cried, we had lots of fun. And we talked lots of guitar and music and life and stuff. It was really good. Hey everyone, I'm here in Thailand at a studio called Karma, which is in a little town called Bang Sarai, I don't know what it's called. I've just been here doing a boom and twang retreat. Just we had some students come over some people come over from Australia. Hi guys, John, Michael, Vaclav, who's from Poland, Hank, who's from Holland, and Howard, who's from Australia. We had a great 3 days. Paul Turner and I were sort of doing some workshops and some one-to-one lessons in this amazing spot. Look at this studio pool. It has been great. It's the second time we've been here. We did some recording here with Jamiroquai quite a while ago for the Rock Dust Light Star album. So the place is absolutely incredible. It's got gym over there, gym, sauna, swimming pool, hot tub, cold plunge pool, which I only ever got in once because it was horrible. But this is the sort of main outbuilding out here. And there's a hotel just across the road that the students stay in, which is really lovely as well. And I will show you just a little tour around the studio here. I'm just going to go into the control room. Excuse me, God, I look really tired. So this is the control room here. Getting a bit Blair Witch with the camera angles here, but here you go. So, yeah, it's it used to have in here, when the last time we were here, there was a big SSL room. This had I think it was a G series SSL desk, but nowadays, with today's technology, you don't really need it. So after we taught for 3 days, yesterday we did a kind of a writing session for the band Brother Strut, and we were out there in the live room tracking. There's drums out there. I can't go into the live room because there's something going on in there at the moment, but there's you can see drums there. Paul, myself, and Steve, we're all out there doing just putting down some ideas for some future Brother Strut material. We just spent a day coming up with little grooves and riffs and chord sequences and feels. I think we got probably 10 or 11 down. But what was great is that we're all on the floor. Oh shit, my thumb's in the way. My hand's in the way. Not very good at this, am I? We're all on the floor playing, throwing up ideas, and then sort of fleshing them out and recording them really well. But nowadays, as I was saying, you don't really need the desk anymore. You can kind of use, everything is plumbed in, guitars, bass, drums, all plugged into really high quality preamps. And it all just goes straight into the Pro Tools. And I think that's just the way it works for the guys here. I go to so many studios now where the desk is very rarely used. I suppose it's used for mixing or doing really big sessions, but I think the way we did it here, it was, there's enough mic preamps for all the drums to go into, guitar, bass, keyboards, and everything sounds amazing, and the engineers that were working here are just incredible. But yeah, this is the facility that we're looking to do. This was our first time doing a boom and twang retreat here, so it worked out. And we are already planning to announce one for later this year, I think. So watch this space, but it was great. It's a lovely place to spend 3 days. Well, we're here for a week. But the food's incredible, people are lovely, and yeah, it's great. So back to the studio. Bye. On these things, because you get to sort of meet people, and you can stay in touch with each other, and it's really nice. It's really good. You sort of share a nice experience together, and being in the place we were just at was incredible. And after we finished that, we did a day's worth of recording ideas. After the students left, Paul and I stayed, and we were with Steve Jones, who is the leader of the band Brother Strut, and we had a great, all-round, incredible, talented musician called Richard Craker, he was playing drums for us that day. The idea was we could just go into the studio, all be set up, ready to record, and just see what comes out. Little ideas, little grooves and riffs and feels for potential songwriting. Potential songwriting sketches for a future Brother Strut album, which hopefully we'll be working on this year. It will be sort of picking the stuff apart, writing some top lines on it, sort of rearranging things, and then with a view to us going back out to Thailand, perhaps maybe in November, I don't know, go out to record, but we'll be having a Boom and Twang retreat in Thailand in November, hopefully, so that'll be great fun. It's great for anyone. I mean, the people we had visiting, what Paul and I, the reason we went over there and we thought it'd be a good idea, one is the location's amazing, the studio and the facilities are incredible, but it is also close to, people can come over from Australia, New Zealand. We had someone visit from China. We had actually someone come and visit from Poland. And they, what the guys had done is they sort of made it into, or the students had done, they'd made it into like a 5-day break, even though they're with us for 3 days. They sort of get a chance to sort of have a little day around Thailand, and, as you know, the food is incredible there and the weather's incredible. And we did sit in the evenings and had a few beers. It was really, really good fun, really lovely experience. So yeah, if anyone's interested, let us know. But yeah, we some of the subjects, a lot of the subjects that come up for me when I'm teaching is rhythm guitar stuff. So that's very much what I was talking about last week in the podcast, how important rhythm guitar is. And, as we all do, I mean, some people have got into some habits of, not necessarily bad habits, but just ways of playing that aren't perhaps helping them get to the groovy place that they perhaps want to be in. So that's what we kind of were working on, which was, it's great, really, really good fun and enjoyable. I have had a load of questions, so I am going to read. I've got more questions than I normally would get, so I'm going to get through some of these while I'm opening this up. I hope everyone's all right out there, and I really appreciate all your lovely comments and people writing in. It's nice. My wife's out there prepping some dog food. Not for me. I don't eat dog food. The food in Thailand was incredible. I have eaten way too much and probably drunk a bit too much as well. So I'm taking it easy. Right, first question was... someone asked about a question. Philip Neal, who asked me about the canned heat guitar part. He'd asked about, also, I'd forgotten to answer a question. Sorry, Philip. Sorry. Could you please answer my other question regarding chorus versus phaser? There should be a versus. I think sometimes you need a chorus, sometimes you need a phaser. I like both. Phaser, I use phaser quite a bit, especially on picking parts or some strummed parts. It depends what I'm doing, I like both. I'm not discriminate about effects. They're both very different effects to me. With regards to chorus, I like the vintage chorus sound, like the CE1 old massive vintage chorus effect. I really love that one. I love a vibrato. I should do that. I should do a video on that, actually. Just do the different things based on... I could get some pedals set up. I won't do it today because they're not set up. But the vintage sort of vibrato effect I'm a huge fan of. The kind of wobbly thing. I love that. Can I show you? I'll show you. I'll show you briefly on here. I'm going to do it. I've got a quad cortex plugged in here, so I can do it on this. Can I hear myself? There you go. Right, so I have my quad cortex here. Now, I know that on one of the patches, I've got a phaser set up. Right, I've got to turn my speakers up a little bit so I don't want to feed back on my little microphone here. So, if I was doing like a little picking part like this, I might choose to put a phaser on, like this. And what it does, it gives a little bit of movement, even when you're playing the dead, ghosted notes. Gives some movement to it, a bit of sweep to it, which I really love. So without it, with it, I love that effect. And it's great for just laying in chords. Yeah, great effect. What is it I'm using? I've got the. Let me turn this down a bit. I've got the. I'm using the quad cortex MX Phase 95. So it's supposed to be like a MXR phaser. I'm not particularly bothered about vintage phasers. I had some. I had an old Phase 90. I had one called a Maestro phaser, which was awesome, but it was the size of a tank, so it wouldn't fit on any pedal boards in particularly. So I don't use that one. I think Paul actually has that now. Paul Turner has it. So yeah. So then chorus is completely different. So if I change this over to, let me change that over to a chorus effect. Hang on a minute. Change device. So if I went to like a vibrato is one of my favorites, right? Let me turn this a bit so I can hear it. Turn the rate down. And turn the depth up. I love that vibrato. I love that. It's a really, really great effect. Just sort of throbs. I do have a vibrato pedal, a Boss one, which is the Wazza version of their old vintage vibrato pedal, which the original ones cost a fortune now. They're very sought after. They cost a fortune, but it's a great effect. Not something I use all the time, but if I was to do a doubling part, say I was playing a part that was a clean sound, so I was doing this, like, so I had a little part like this. I might put that on one side, and then on the other side have maybe change the pickup, put the vibrato on. I might put that on the other side, because it means that guitar is doing something different to the one on one side, and it just means it sounds much wider. It gives a little point of interest. So that's what I'd use that for. And then the other chorus I would use, which I use a lot, which I'm really getting into, is the I have one here. I don't know if you can see it. It's on my. I've got a real one here, a Wazza Craft one, Boss Dimension C, which is based on the old stereo chorus that they used to use in the studios, the Dimension C or Dimension D. Very sort of 80s chorus sound. So there is one in here. What's it called? In the old Quad Cortex. It's a Chief DC2W, right? I think that's supposed to be a Dimension C, but I use that and I really like that in stereo. That's got to be stereo for me. I won't give you a demonstration of that now, but it's that pure 80s tone. There's a load of stuff online nowadays. RJ Ronquillo did a great video on 80s guitar sounds, and he's a very, very good guitar player himself. But he let me just make sure that's back to normal. Hang on a minute. Yeah, that's back to normal now. I don't want to use that. Don't want to lose that patch. Yeah, he does a video on recreating that 80s sound, and back then they used to stack choruses. So they used to use like a tri-stereo chorus, which was made by several different companies. I don't know. I never owned one. There is a plug-in that I use of it, which is really cool. And then they used to use, on top of that, they used a either a Dimension C like this, or an SPX 90, or an Eventide, massive H3000 Eventide processor, which they used to use a patch called Micro Pitch on it, which is, it takes your sound, it takes your guitar part sound. I can't talk today. What's going on? It takes your sound and detunes one side down minus 9.9 cents, and then the other side was up 0.9 cents. So it would just create this wide chorus. So that's a sound I'm really into these days. Don't know why. I hated it for years, but now I love it. Don't know why. So that's, yeah. There's no phaser versus chorus for me. I like both of them. They're all, I think, why cut off your arm? I don't prefer one. I think I would say, if anything, phaser I would use in stuff that was a little bit more funk related. I used phaser on quite a lot of Jamiroquai stuff on the last album, actually. I used some just for some certain picking effects. And chorus I use for anything that's a bit more 80s sounding. So that's that question. Ash Tucker. Hi Ash, how you doing? This might be quite a long podcast today, I don't know. How long have I been prattling on now? 21 minutes. Are you laughing? Ray? No, she's not laughing. I thought my wife was laughing at me in the next room. Ash Tucker says, hi Rob, loving the podcast. Quick thank you to start. Skip ahead 2 paragraphs for the question. No need to read this out if you'd rather not. I won't. I've already read it actually, but thank you. In one of your previous podcasts, anyway, question wise, I'm interested in how much you believe good league playing is important in building the profile of a career musician. Wow. Okay. In one of your previous podcasts, you mentioned how important good rhythm playing is. However, most of YouTubers I see will promote their playing with some kind of lead playing in their vocab. This is true. A few people I know who have hired guitarists will often send me over videos of shredding or jazz licks and say, check out how good this guy is for the band. But I always think it's counterproductive and doesn't tell you how they will fit in ensemble wise. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I would say my lead playing is a bugbear, and I'm working on it with a great teacher currently, but it's hard not to feel like wasted time when most of my work comes from learning parts, time, feel, and songwriting. So great rhythm player with no lead ability, or great lead player with no rhythmic feel. Who gets the gig? Am I on the right track? Thanks. Keep up the good work. I'll be happily listening. Ash Tucker. That's a great question. So yeah, I don't know. Depends when you go and watch a band on tour playing. An artist is playing with, he's got a band of hired guys. Most of the time, they're doing a job of playing the parts on a song, and that doesn't consist of lead playing a lot of the time, unless it's a blues gig where there's usually a solo in most songs, or unless it's an instrumental based gig, like for example Snarky Puppy, or something like that. It's music, you know. It's not necessarily songs. Well, there's songs, but there's music, where that kind of playing can be showcased. Yes, then I would say lead playing is very important. I do think that lead guitar playing is the thing that attracts a lot of people. You know, if you were to flick through Instagram or TikTok, there's a load of players, amazing players. Please, I'm saying this. There's some amazing players, right? Who, that's the way to draw people in. That's the bit that gets people excited, especially other guitar players. But you're right, you know, a lot of it isn't relevant to the gigging musician. I know I talked about this last week, and yeah, I stand by it. You know, I think, you know, if you think of someone, you know, let me just throw an example in. Eddie Van Halen was an amazing lead guitar player, amazing. And also, he was an amazing rhythm guitar player, right? It just happened that he played in a 4-piece band, and one of the main things about that band was his incredible soloing. And it was really exciting and really, you know, it was a big draw for people. It was a big part of that band. But actually, they also wrote songs, and he played a lot of rhythm guitar in those songs. You know, 85 to 90% was rhythm with solos in the middle, you know, or solos whenever the songs were, or lead fills. Yeah, I do think, you know, it is a great question. I do think they're both really important, but I do think that we are seeing, what we see is a huge emphasis on lead playing. It definitely excites me. I work on it, not as much as I should, but I do work on it a lot. And I think it's, both are really important. But when I'm doing sessions for people, playing on people's records, I very rarely get asked to play any lead at all. None. You know, usually if I'm in a studio and someone says, "Oh, can you put a solo on this?" I know that that's probably not going to be the one that they're going to be using as their lead single. For example, there's not loads of call for guitar solos on lead songs. There's guitar melodies and guitar hooks. I think that's really important. You know, you want to be able to deliver a lead line hook if you're asked. And I definitely think lead playing and soloing and improvising is an amazing art, and I think, yeah, it's great. You know, it's definitely something to be working on. But if you want to work a lot and be out gigging and playing music that people, punters, you know, audiences want to go and hear, it depends what the venue is. It depends what the gig is. You know, I know there are lots of people who love going out and hearing people play lead guitar. I do too, but I must admit that after about 45 minutes of a gig where someone's playing lead all the time, my ears get a bit tired of it. So, you know, it's great to hear it broken up with other things. So, yeah, I don't know whether I've answered that. I'm probably going to have pissed off a lot of people. But actually, I stand by it. I think rhythm guitar is really, really important if you want to be a working guitar player. There is obviously the working guitar player who plays a lot of lead, and you know that's, you know, it's a big thing. It's a niche thing, and it is the thing that draws people in. You know, you think of all the amazing lead players. I don't want to say any because I don't want to miss any out. But you know, the ones that come to my mind now out there at the moment are. Matthias Asato. Please don't. I'm going to miss some people out. So don't ever go at me. Matthias Asato. Mark Leggieri. I'm nervous now because I don't want to miss anyone out. Mike Landau, Steve Lukather, Nuno Betancourt, Matteo, the other chap from Italy who's incredible, does all the finger stuff. Larry Carlton, Jeff Beck. They all do a different thing. They all play lead in a different way, right? I think there's definitely space for that, So, but they also play really good rhythm as well. All right. So, I think hopefully I've answered your question. I'm going to do. How long have I been chantering away? I've got loads here. So, hi Rob, this is from Danny Werner Music. Danny Werner in Nashville. Greetings and thanks from Nashville. Nashville, wow. Okay, cool. Hi Rob, just wanted to shoot a quick message to say thank you for the podcast. I've been loving it and binged all 33 episodes in the last week. Okay, lots of coffee to keep you awake. I think I may have first learned about you from a funk guitar lesson that you did in the mid-2000s in a Guitar Techniques magazine. Might have been Guitarist. I forget which one. You may have taught me how to play octaves with that lesson. I always had a hard time muting the strings in the middle, like this, this one, where you play, this, where you're playing you're playing a note on the D string, a note on the B string, and you use your first finger to deaden out. Yeah, I do that all the time. We may also have a mutual friend in Dudley Ross. Yes, hi Dudley. Well, say hi to Dudley for me. I saw he had you on the tribute to Jeff Beck show. Would love to have seen it, but unfortunately I'm living across the pond. Actually, I didn't do that gig in the end. I wasn't able to make it. I know on the Quad Cortex you're using the capture of your divided by 13. Fantastic amps. I have the CJ11. They are amazing amps. I haven't played the CJ11, but this is what you're hearing now is it's a capture of my FT37. I do a lot of sessions, recreating tracks for karaoke or sound-alike versions. I find myself in a similar situation to yourself at times. I would love to track with my amps, but due to needing to work quickly, find myself... but I can't read. But due to needing to work quickly, I find myself working completely in the box more often than not. I'm always looking for new things to make my tracks sound more real, like a mic'd up cabinet. Been experimenting with the front end of my amp going into the power section and IRs on the Brainwork Fuchs ODS plugins lately. Okay, I've done that. I did that last week. Curious to know if there's anything particular you like to use. If you ever find yourself in Nashville, I'd love to come and see you play. Also urge you to go and check out Guthrie Chap on a Monday night at the Underdog if you ever have the chance. I would love to go and see him. He's amazing and he's great. Really good. Really love the podcast and YouTube content. As long as you're putting it out, I'll be listening. Oh, thanks, Danny. Thank you very much. So I have been going recently through a different thing. I'm using my Quad Cortex now, but I very rarely record with that in my studio. I used it on the session when I was in Thailand, and it does the job great. I would always much rather have my amps with a room full of amps, but I completely understand why you don't use it, why it's hard to switch between sounds quickly. So what I have started doing, I bought a Fryette power station, which is set up right up here. And all my amps go through a Cahayan amp switcher. They're all plugged in all the time. And I have a cabinet down the back of the room with a Royer mic and a SM57 on it. And I use the Fryette power station to turn my amps down so I can record all times of day and night at a listenable volume. I've been recording with headphones on. It means I'm moving the mic around to get different tones because I've got the freedom of time to do that. if I can't use my speaker, all I do is I unplug the speaker and I come out of the back of the power station. And because I'm using Luna as my software, as my DAW, rather than Pro Tools or Logic or Studio One or Cubase, what I do is I load in the PT100, Sir PT100 amp, and I bypass the power amp and the preamp, only using the speaker IR bit of that thing, which means that I can record without any latency and get the guitar sound into the into my recording, and then if I need to, and then I can choose other IRs later on. I don't think Luna's not got it together to have really good IRs that you can can switch, because they've got their aux box, which I have got, but I must admit I haven't been using it a lot lately. So maybe thinking about selling it if anyone's interested in my aux box. Drop me a line if you are. But yeah, that's what I've been doing lately. But I am pretty easygoing. It doesn't need to be. Sometimes if I need to work really quickly and get the thing down, I will use a plugin. Most of the time I will use my amp, and I will also use the Quad Cortex. I'm not a hard and fast, it's got to be this way or no way at all. But that's what I do. So, yeah, I have got some more questions to answer, but I will get to these because I've been talking a very long time. 35 minutes of me boring you stupid. But thank you so much for all your comments and your messages. I'm thinking about a way to sort of do things a bit differently on here, because I don't know if this is a podcast or not. I'm a bit confused by the whole thing, but I'm just getting into a flow. Because it's quite weird. If I come in here some days, I might not be in the mood to talk. So I was going to do it yesterday, but I was a bit tired, a bit jet lagged, and I had some, sort of other shit going on that I had to deal with. And I just wasn't, by the time I got down to sit down and talk, I just didn't feel like it. I was like, I'm not going to be my sprightly, boring self. So I didn't do it. So I am thinking of doing some lesson content on here, because I'm getting asked to teach a lot of things. So, and it's great that people want to learn a few things from me, but it's quite. I had a really long conversation with Mr. John Cordy yesterday, who's an amazing player. And after I, finished gushing to him on the phone about how great his channel is and how much I love his playing, I was asking him some questions about how do I do it, doing some lesson content, because I'm getting lots of people asking me about doing some lesson content on here, but it is quite time consuming. Doing a video where you're doing a lesson, I find it, I know other people don't, but I find it quite time consuming. So it's getting the time to do it, and perhaps working out a way to do it. Perhaps I can do a little bit of a video course on different subjects, which I can then put up on a little Google Drive, but charge for it. Charge a very small amount for it, not crazy money. Charge a very small amount, so that it's worth doing it. Because otherwise I can be teaching for hours and hours, spending hours and hours doing a video, taking away the time that I'm doing sessions, or adding to the time that I'm doing sessions and learning stuff for gigs. And I might do that. I've just got to get my head around it. But let me know if you'd be interested in that kind of stuff, because if you are, then I'll be like, yeah, great, I'll do it. But some people would be like, well, why should I pay for it? But yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting my head around at the moment. And because I'm a technophobe, I know how to work these things, but the camera bit is the scary bit, and all the video editing shit is the scary bit. So, and I got, I did that a little while ago, and I did find I was getting myself tied in knots. So, but if anyone's interested, I'm definitely up for doing it. Yeah, great. Well, look, also, if anyone's got any more questions, I will get to the other questions as well, because they're all here in my email box, or leave me some comments on the page on my YouTube channel. Drop me a comment, say hi, and I'll try and get back to you. But failing that, Not failing that. What am I talking about? See, this is jet lag kicking in. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's goodbye from me.